Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to isolate an angle to the race we might look back on later as having been a path to finding the winner. Well, Sunday racing at Sha Tin, and the first race that I'm going to take a look at is race 7, where our winning factor is the winner up in class. Now this standard sort of class 4 has a few chances. Wide Blue Yonder racing well. D-Star was a recent winner at this 1400 metre distance. June Planet and Nordic combined have been going well enough without much luck. And then there's the David Hall trained Speed Star, a last start winner in class 5. And obviously, as the only last start winner in this field, he is the subject of this segment. So let's have a look at his last start win in the cellar grade. So this is race 483. He's in dark blue with white hoop sleeves. Gate 2 for Hugh Bowman, and Speed Star well away as he tends to be. He has even led before, but Bowman elected to let the speed go here when it was competitive early and let the leaders come back to him as they steadied the pace through the second and third sections of the race, as you see on the heat map. But he was ready to pounce on straightening. Bowman gave this a great ride, and Speed Star, well, he closes things off well to scrape home and get the win. Now later the same day there was a class 4 over the same distance, and we have some runners in this race from that event. So this is race 490, and in orange and grey, Gate 2, Wide Blue Yonder's the horse we're looking at. Not normally one of the leaders in his races, and there was no change to that here. Once again, Hugh Bowman aboard, and Hugh settles in midfield or a little worse on the rail, but you can see on the heat map, good speed on. He's got Universal Horizon ahead of him in purple, and he brings him into the race beautifully, rounding the home turn. And in the straight, well, I'll let you decide if it's significant when Wide Blue Yonder is slightly held up inside the 200 metres. I thought he had his chance, but he certainly races home well enough in third placing. Now we can compare the times between those two races since they're on the same day. It's pretty easy to do, and that race was a full second faster than the class 5 replay that we saw earlier. However, from those races, Wide Blue Yonder, he's up a pound in his handicap weight on Sunday, while Speed Star, he drops 19 pounds, and I think he also gets a map that suits him better than most. So this is a race devoid of serious speed horses, and he should be one of the potential leaders, but as we saw in that replay, also has the option to trail if he finds a couple of others in the race more positive. But I'll be surprised if it's a genuine speed all the same, and that isn't good news for run-on horses like Wide Blue Yonder or Nordic Combined and June Planet, who are going to get back in the field. Now, regular viewers will know that I like this scenario when horses are rising in grade, but I can hear what you're thinking. That's okay when they're class 3 up to class 2 or class 4 up to class 3, and they might be progressive horses with all their best ahead of them, and that's not often the case with horses coming out of class 5. So I thought we'd take a little detour and have a look how that washes out statistically. And first I'm going to show you the overall winner up in class statistics. This is since 2012, and the top 10 performing trainers measured by their market expectations and performance against that. And Speed Star's trainer David Hall ranks 4th on that list. But then when we look specifically at class 5 winners going to class 4, we have a second table, and you can see, yes, the numbers overall are smaller because it's a smaller sample, but the strike rates are very similar, and although some of the names have changed in the top 10 trainers, 5 of the overall top trainers reappear on this list, and David Hall is one of them, right up there in the 3rd slot. So the tip from me in race 7 is Speed Star, his winning factor, the winner up in class. I don't really think there is the great gulf between class 4 and class 5 that it's often made out to be. And here we have a horse winning up in class with the lightweight and with a great map to suit. And on top of that, his trainer David Hall does very well with these kinds of horses. The second race I want to take a look at is race 8, and our winning factor here is the map. Now this is quite an interesting Class 3 Cup race with quite a few chances. Never Too Soon, he can improve on his latest run. Captain Win is finding his form again, as is Season's Bliss. Golden Artie is on the improve, but the horse most people are going to find as the horse to beat is Zac Purton's mount, Choo Chow Spirit. Now for the first of our replays, I'm going to go back to a similar race on February 26 that I thought was run in pretty much the same way that we're going to see this race run on Sunday. This is race 454, and we've got Golden Artie here in gate 1, purple and white check colours. Season's Bliss in dark blue and white stripes is next to him in gate 2. And Golden Artie gets out well, showing the speed that we've seen in a couple of his prior runs, and he works through to get the lead in what was just a slow tempo. In fact, more than 5 lengths slower than average for the second section. While Season's Bliss, he jumps well enough, follows the Golden Artie through and camps behind him for most of the race. Now in the home straight, Season's Bliss, well, he doesn't perhaps get as much room as he'd like initially, but then he gets clear, he sprints past Golden Artie, who keeps fighting on, but Tamara Blitz, he proves too sharp in the sprint home for them all. So Season's Bliss, a return to form there at long odds. He'd had a couple of indifferent runs earlier in the season, but that was his first start for 3 months. He'd been given a break, and that was more like the smart horse that we saw in action last season. So certainly he is on the improve, but I'm sure the favourite in this race is going to be Choo Chow Spirit, and he's put in 2 excellent efforts since arriving in Hong Kong, and Zac Purton gets on now. And let's have a look at the reason why he's going to be our favourite on Sunday. This is race 491. He's in green, red and white colours, barrier 7, and isn't the fastest out of the gates, which is a little bit his habit, Choo Chow Spirit, and he settles towards the rear as a result in a race where the speed is average initially, then slows before picking up from the halfway mark. And to be honest, when you look at that heat map, it's not a great race shape for a horse wanting to run on from the back. But despite that and giving away a big start, Choo Chow Spirit applies himself well, sprints strongly in the stretch and gets home into a second that is full of merit. Now he's done that at both his Hong Kong starts. I think he's quite a promising horse, perhaps a 4-year-old series horse for next season. But this winning factor segment is almost an anti-winning factor, if you like, because I think this map is going to really work against him once again. When we take a look at the map, there really isn't a lot of speed in this race, with Sylvester de Souza on Golden Artie and Angus Chung on Jade Phoenix likely controlling the speed and under no real pressure from anything else to make it a true pace. And we saw how Golden Artie raced well last time after setting a slow tempo, so I'm sure he'll be happy for that to be the case again. In the same replay, we saw Season's Bliss make his way into a position trailing the slow lead, and I think he maps in a very similar place again, perhaps only with Country Boy handy behind the speed with him. And after that, it's tough to find speed amongst the rest, not to mention awkward barrier draws for Choo Chow Spirit and Captain Win as well. So the tip from me in race 8 is Season's Bliss. His winning factor is the map. Now I've got no doubt that Choo Chow Spirit is the best horse in this race and will turn out the best horse in this race, but he does have a few things to overcome here. Nothing is in his favour once again, and Season's Bliss, well, I think he'll get everything his way, the way this map works out. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. We'll see you next time.